Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because I'm reviewing the recently released on Xbox, Switch, and Steam version of ZPF. If that sounds familiar, I reviewed this game in July of 2025 when it was sent to me as a review copy on a Sega Genesis cartridge. That's because ZPF was developed for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, and when I reviewed that back in 2025, I said it was one of my favorite shmups I had played in a long time as far as retro hardware is concerned. But if you didn't own a Sega Genesis or didn't pick a copy of the game up back then, you can now grab it on any modern platform and enjoy the ever-loving hell out of it, because when I say this thing is just a straight up 10 out of 10, I 100% mean it. And having replayed the game again off Sega Genesis hardware, I can say my opinion of the game has not changed in any way, shape, or form. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And last time I really did compare this game to some of the best TurboGrafx 16 or PC Engine 16 horizontal shmups of all time, but this review, I'm going to kind of try to keep it more towards the actual gameplay in and of itself, because I'm sure most of you will recognize what this game is similar to, and if you don't know the name of the game whatsoever, comparing it doesn't really help. As we pop into this level right here, I will say the number one thing I need out of a shmup is I need challenge, and I want to enjoy the world that's going on here, and you're getting both of those in spades when it comes to ZPF. And I will say right off the top, the number one thing I love about this game, and the thing that intrigued me to it in the first place, is the graphical aesthetic, the overall vibe, and the colorways on offer here. ZPF has this very fantasy vibe going on, kind of feels almost like one of those blacklight posters kids would hang in their rooms back in the day in the 70s and 80s, and no, I am not that old, where you'd have these deep fantasy vibes going on, all the sword and sandal epics, and just absolutely some horror mixed in at the same time. And that's just something that I 100% appreciate in the game design aesthetic. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Pulse Start as well, not in the gameplay, but in the overall enemy design, kind of being this organic mesh of both animal as well as machine. And it really is something that when you play the game and you see it in motion, at least for me personally, the aesthetic is 100% hitting. I have no notes on how this game actually looks and the vibe that it's delivering. But the second thing is, and honestly the more important thing compared to the vibe, is the mechanical function of how the game actually plays. You want a challenge, you want to be able to get better at the game, but you don't want it to be so brutally difficult that you're going to turn it off. And I will say ZPF absolutely walks that tightrope perfectly when it comes to the difficulty. You need to learn this game, you need to remember the patterns, but it's not going to beat you up so badly that you're dead within the first minute and you don't want to come back to the game. And that is not something that is always easy to do in a shmup. Most shmups these days are developed for the hardcore audience, the people that love playing bullet hells like I do, where even if you are dead in the first minute, you keep coming back to it because you plan on learning it. And the biggest thing about any sort of shmup, whether it's modern or retro, is the bullets have to be instantaneously visible on screen, readable, and not blend into the background. Because if you die because a bullet was obscured by a color in the background or an enemy, you're going to feel like you took an unfair death and not actually one where you realize you made a mistake. And I will say ZPF nails that brief when it comes to the bullet visibility. I would say these things basically just kind of look like Mike and Ike's candies in all the best ways possible. They are delicious if you never tried them, but I'm sure you have. So if you get hit by a bullet or a projectile coming towards you, it's because you didn't read the screen and move to keep yourself safe, and not because any of those projectiles were hiding in any of the elements. Like right here with this boss, the background turns to purple, so every projectile coming over the top of that is going to be a color that you can see contrasting the background. And honestly, the boss design in this game, basically every design in this game, just 100% amazing from start to finish, and I absolutely love the ever-loving hell of it. Now you will see here that you pick up different metals within a stage, then you're able to actually power up your ship between levels. You can power it up, you can get better melee attacks, you can get extra lives, and you can even purchase a continue. By default, you have the amount of lives you start the game with unless you find a 1-up or purchase it, and if you want to continue, you actually have to buy that. So it's not one of those things you can't just credit feed ZPF. It actually makes you sit down and learn the game, and I think that's very smart for a game that isn't in the arcade. You want to be able to actually have a little bit of a fight with it. Let's go to the first of 2 soundtrack samples because the fantasy vibes continue into the music, and I'll be right back with a lot more ZPF. mean, that is just pure Sega Genesis sound from start to finish with that nice bassiness and all of those fun reverb effects, and it absolutely marries perfectly to the visuals and gameplay. And like I said, this thing just basically feels like a blacklight fantasy poster that you'd see on a wall. These colorways here absolutely something that don't get used very often in retro gaming or even modern gaming, and I really love that ZPF really stands apart from a lot of other shmups that have come out, at least in the visual department. It is so unique. Every single stage is going to show you something different, and there's so many different backgrounds in every single stage. You're not even looking at the same thing for more than like a minute before it moves on to something else. And the amount of parallax scrolling in this thing, just really pushing that overall 16-bit 2D aesthetic. Because even though I'd like to say it's really pushing the Sega Genesis hardware here, what it really is doing is running on modern platforms. That statement doesn't 100% ring true. But again, what I said, bullet projectile makes such a big difference when you can read them. Again, you get all of these nice blue outline bullets on the back of an actual red background, so they're instantaneously visible. And as we move through this next stage, honestly, you have to wonder what the hell is going on in the world of ZPF, because this is just weird from start to finish. And I absolutely love that it just pushes the envelope to 11 when it thinks about what personality it wants to present. This is not a let's design it to be a safe game sort of situation where it'll appeal to everyone. It is a game where the developers, coders, and artists decided we're going to make exactly what it is we want to make, and from there we just have to hope people actually like it. You will see here some of those faster projectiles, especially when they come from the left, just absolutely get me every single time I play this game. I am way better at kind of avoiding the pattern projectiles than I am those quick moving ones. But this is the type of game, again, you're not going to be quote-unquote good at it the first time you play it. Even if you played a bunch of shmups like I have, and it's probably been like 7-8 months since I played it, you're going to have to learn those patterns and just going to have to get better at it. But when you get better at it, when you improve, when you get further in the game than you ever have before, that sensation and feedback loop of realizing that you're figuring it out and you're improving your own performance, that is what, at least for me personally, gets me hooked into shmups. Because I don't want to play a shmup that takes me all of an hour to learn and then I can beat it with 1 or 2 credits basically the same day. I want a shmup that I'm going to have to spend a couple hours every day for a few weeks on until I get the hang of it and can beat the game from start to finish on some limited credits. And that is the thing that ZPF forces you to do as well. You have to buy your continues, you have to collect the medals to get them, so it's not like you're going to have 10 continues and you can just basically try to get good enough at the game to beat it just by a battle of attrition. This is one that you're going to have to learn, and that learning is absolutely something that I just love. And as we move into this castle area here with that pseudo 3D effect of the parallax scrolling, again, just absolutely a beautiful game. I have absolutely nothing to say about the design of this one. I totally get it is very unique, and maybe it's something that you're not going to gravitate towards, but for me personally, it does everything I need. Let's go to the second soundtrack sample, because again, the music in this game, top tier, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more ZPF. I love that you go from medieval castle to the inside intestines of some gigantic beast in the background. ZPF definitely has something new to show you every single time you play the game at every single new stage, and by default only 3 of the 6 stages are going to be unlocked when you start it. You have to beat the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th if you want to see the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th and be able to actually beat the entire game. And that really is a fun kind of gameplay loop. This is the type of thing you're just going to keep playing it over and over again, putting in new runs and trying to get better at the game, and that to me is just everything I need from a shmup. And obviously it's a 4:3 game, but you do get a 16:9 aspect ratio, and these colors look incredible on an OLED. But I will say the knight character there on the art to the left, he is absolutely caked up, and clearly somebody decided he just had to have a massive butt. I think that's kind of hilarious. I was looking at it basically the entirety of the capture just thinking, who put that art on there? It's hilarious. Kind of reminds me of the Mothman statue back east. If you've never seen that, definitely look up a photo of it. It's hilarious. I got way off track, but it's just how I wanted to end the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. But trust me, if you haven't played ZPF yet and you are a fan of shmups, you don't want to miss this one. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.